Hello everybody, I am here today to bring you my review of the original Star Wars, released back in 1977, and this is continuation of my reviews of the first 6 Star Wars movies leading up to the release of Episode 7 on December 18th. It's so close now, I'm so excited. And in case you don't know, these are going in order from my preference, from my least favorite to my favorite, and I have uploaded my reviews for the last 3, which were the prequels, of course. And now we are on to the original Star Wars. No, I will not call it A New Hope. Sorry. So, of course, immediately in this movie, we get the opening shot after the initial thing scrolls up, and we get this shot, probably one of the best opening shots in any movie, where you see this little ship, it's like shooting, and you see it shooting, and you're like, what is it shooting at? Then you see this huge spaceship just go over across the screen, and then in one shot, we immediately know that these people are trying to fight these people, and these people up here have a better advantage than them. And we already know who probably is the good and bad of the movie right from the opening shot. Of course, we then get shots inside of the ship. C-3PO and R2-D2 are the first characters we are introduced to in this film, and I just love their dialogue with each other. They're hilarious. Anyway, so eventually the ship is taken up into the body of the bigger Imperial ship, and stormtroopers blast in. They're killing all the rebels and everything. And after this, I love the entrance to probably one of the most iconic villains of all time, Darth Vader. And I immediately love how you can yeah, I know I'm saying immediately a lot, but you immediately know that Darth Vader is the head honcho, with how his all black contrasts with everything else, and how menacing he looks. You know immediately this guy is not good news. He is the main bad guy here. And eventually R2-D2 and C-3PO escape on an escape pod, who'd thunk. And then we are introduced to Princess Leia, who kills a stormtrooper and is subsequently captured, and is ordered by Vader to take her away. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. I love that line. I always say it whenever Vader says it when I'm watching a movie. Sorry. So one thing I noticed while I was rewatching this movie, after R2 and C-3PO land on Tatooine, I realized we're only 13 minutes. We're 13 minutes into this movie, and not once have we seen the main character of it yet. Not once. We've only seen these 2 droids. We don't know who they really are. We don't know why they are there in the first place, and all the information we need about the rebellion and the Empire we get from C-3PO and R2-D2 arguing. That's awesome. And then later, stormtroopers arrive, find out that droids were the ones that escaped on the escape pod, and they figured out, hey, maybe these droids have the plans to the Death Star that the rebels took. And then we meet our first character in the movie, Luke Skywalker. But I was going to the Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. And yeah, Luke starts out kind of whiny in this movie. He's kind of acts like that throughout the movie. I was actually noticing it a lot, but that's the point. He's a character, and he grows over the course of the movie and over the course of the next 2 movies, and you see this growth, which is amazing. I love it when characters actually are characters, and they're not just a stereotype of any kind. They actually grow and mature, and I love it. And that's why Luke Skywalker is probably one of the best examples of a protagonist in a movie ever, just for that one reason, his character and his growth. So eventually the droids are bought by Owen Lars, who is Luke's uncle, who he lives with, of course. And then eventually we get Luke leaving where he's eating dinner or something. I don't remember if he was eating dinner or not. And he goes out, and this is probably one of, if not my favorite scene in the entire movie. Luke walks out onto the sand, stares at the twin suns. John Williams music kicks in, and you're just like, oh yes. I mean, I rewound this scene so many times, not only for the scene but for the music. I just love the sense of wonder that is supposed to go to the audiences through this music, and how it tells, not through words but through sound, what Luke's hopes and dreams are to do, not just to stay on this farm, but to go beyond the galaxy, beyond this planet. And I love that scene so much because of this. And John Williams' score in general, I gotta say, this man is a legend. He's probably composed some of the best music of all time, and the Star Wars films are a testament to that. Even the prequels, the music is amazing. Seriously, this man is great. He's the good aspect of every single Star Wars movie. His music is. Then Luke goes to pursue R2-D2 because he escapes, and he goes with C-3PO, and they find him. Eventually, they figure out that there are sand people around, and are eventually ambushed by them. But Obi-Wan Kenobi scares them away, and of course, I have to say, Obi-Wan Kenobi's probably one of my favorite characters in this movie. Of course, played brilliantly by Alec Guinness. And to this day, I still have not seen a movie with Alec Guinness in it that wasn't the original Star Wars. I need to get on that. But I also heard, and this was from a documentary I watched a bit back on YouTube, how there were so many problems with this movie. There was set problems. The effects weren't working properly. The actors weren't taking anything seriously until Alec Guinness went into film. So whenever Alec Guinness was around, the actors would start acting like, oh man, we gotta get on our game. Get on it. Come on. You know what I mean? I just think that's pretty funny. So Obi-Wan Kenobi takes Luke back to his home to escape, to get out of reach of the Sand People, and explains to him about Luke's father and the Clone Wars and all this different stuff. And we're like, and me as an audience member, I had to kind of turn my brain off when I rewatched this to kind of relive Star Wars again for this review. And when you first watch this, you're gonna think like, I want to know more about this and whatnot, and I want to know more about these things that he's talking about. Eventually, then we get introduced to the lightsaber for the first time, and I've always wanted one when I was a kid, and I actually have it right here. I have my old spring action lightsaber. This is much bigger than the ones that they sell now too, and I love it. And it's probably, and I'm trying to get it so it actually lights up and everything, because it has a few times when I re-put new batteries into it. Nah, it's not gonna do it. Anyway. And so I just love that stuff. And after this, we finally get to see Darth Vader for the first time, and what the Force really can do. And we see Darth Vader for the first time Force choke one of these commanders or something like that, that is in the Death Star, that starts mocking him about the Force and everything. And eventually, and if it wasn't for Grand Moff Tarkin, he probably would have killed him. And then we get one of the most disturbing scenes in the movie. And this is in a Star Wars film, in a film that was made in the 1970s, that was rated PG, when Luke comes back to his home and he finds his entire home burned down and his aunt and uncle's corpse lying on the ground. And Luke just stares at this, and he starts letting it sink in, and he realizes that all his life before this point is now gone. He no longer can do what he did before. And honestly, it's one of the best part, and I think it's the first part in the movie that I actually felt like Luke is starting to get more mature as a result of this event that happened to him. I truly believe this. Then of course we get to another one of my favorite scenes in the movie, the Mos Eisley spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. I just love this scene, especially the intro to it, because we get up, they get up in their land speeder, and the stormtroopers stop them, sorry, not the clones, and they start talking to them, and they're like, okay, who are these droids? Oh, we need to see your identification. And Obi-Wan, you don't need to see his identification. And I just love this scene, and that's like one of the best openings to this whole entire sequence that takes place in Mos Eisley, and why it's one of my favorites. Now, I want to talk about something else for a second. The special editions. I hate this part of the movie when I'm watching the special edition. I've only ever been able to watch the original theatrical VHS tape of Star Wars one time, and I was at my friend's house, who I don't really go over to his house anymore, but he owns them, and I got to watch that without all the CGI crap everywhere. That's totally unnecessary, doesn't need to be there, and especially the scene with Jabba the Hutt. Like, why did they think that needed to be in there? And, this isn't going to count against the movie or anything, because it's the special edition edits that are the problem, and it's why I'm glad George Lucas will never have control of the Star Wars license ever again. And then we get to one of my favorite places in the entire movie, and one of my favorite sequences, the Mos Eisley Cantina, and the music. I just love that tune so much. Anyway, and then we also, the second Luke and Obi-Wan and all them enter the cantina, you immediately see all these different alien life forms and whatnot, and you immediately feel this sense of, like, nothing right can happen here. And you see how much Luke is out of place in the entire bar. And then we get the awesome scene. My friend doesn't like you. I don't like you either. You better watch yourself. We're wanted men. I'm wanted in 12 systems. I'll be careful. You'll be dead! And then, like, they get in a fight, and then Obi-Wan cuts the guy's arm off, and you're like, whoa, holy crap. And then, of course, we're eventually introduced to Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then we get the amazing scene where Han Solo, of course, shoots first. We all know he shoots first. Sorry about it. And when I watch the special edition edit, it still looks so bad. Like, Han Solo just tilts his head, like kind of like a really dumb cut, and Greedo shoots and then he shoots, and it looks worse because of it. Like, in the original, Han shoots, and then it's just a cloud of smoke. Greedo's body falls over, and then the smoke clears and shows Han, and then gets up, gives the bartender a coin, and says, sorry about the mess. And that's immediately the best intro we could have gotten to Han Solo. But of course, George Lucas just had to be like, oh, he didn't shoot first. Oh, the children. Hey, how many other times has Han Solo shot first or done something first besides someone else, not giving them a chance to fight back? A lot of times. I mean, why did he feel this was the only scene that needed to be edited to do something like that? And then, as we know, the gang gets to where Alderaan used to be, and we get the scene before that where it shows the Death Star blowing the entire planet up. We finally see what this whole entire space station is capable of doing. And when they arrive there, they're like, wait, where's Alderaan? Oh, it's been destroyed. There's no way anyone could have destroyed it. And it's just such like a, oh crap moment. Like, oh, that's it. This isn't good. And then eventually they find the TIE fighter. They try to take it out before it can talk to anyone else about where they are. And then, of course, we get the looming shot, this small Death Star, and they start slowly going towards it. Obi-Wan just like, that's no moon. It's a space station. It's too big to be a space station. I have a bad feeling about this. Turn the ship around. Yeah, I think you're right. And then they get sucked into and then they get pulled in by the tractor beam, and they have to go in and to keep from making this review too much longer, I'm going to talk about all the things I loved in the Death Star scene. First of all, we have, of course, the a brilliant part where they pretend to take Chewbacca captive and send him to the prison block. They make an excuse to go to the prison block. Then they attack all the guards there, and Han's having a conversation with the guy who is asking what's wrong. He's just like, boring conversation anyway. And I just love that scene. And then, of course, we have all the practical and special effects that go all throughout the space station. Everything just looks amazing. All the blasting, like stuff getting destroyed and everything when they shoot their blasters at it, and it's just all looks brilliant. I think the Death Star sequence is like one of the pinnacles of film, just because of how much greatness was put into one sequence in a film. And of course, Han Solo and Luke eventually free Princess Leia. Of course, I also love the trash compactor scene. What a wonderful smell you've discovered. And I just love the subsequent parts that go through when like Han Solo just rushes in, shoots the one clone trooper, or a stormtrooper, sorry, and then he like starts running away, and Luke and Leia are going their own different way to get back to the hangar bay where the Millennium Falcon is. And of course, we have the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. And most people might say, "Oh, this is boring compared to like the original trilogy and stuff like that, or compared to the prequels." And it's like, okay, it's not a great lightsaber fight, but think about it in this way: these two are like, they're master and apprentice, old master and old apprentice, and their talk and all the things that are going on during this battle are what is important, not the duel itself. That's not important at all. I was but a learner when I left. Wait. When I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master. Only a master of evil, Darth. And then, of course, Obi-Wan sacrifices himself in order for Luke and the entire rest of the gang to escape. And then after this, of course, we have the fight between the Millennium Falcon and a bunch of TIE fighters, which I love, and then the music kicks in during it. It's probably one of my favorite pieces in the entire film. It's just so amazing. The movie never slows down, I tell you. And maybe a few points in the movie, but rarely does it ever slow down. And then, of course, they finally get the plans to the Rebel base on Yavin, I think is what it's called. I only know that because of Battlefront, though. And they talk about that they need to shoot a thermal torpedo into the exhaust port of the Death Star in order to actually destroy it. So then the actual assault takes place on Death Star. One of the best scenes in the movie again. And it holds up extremely well today. Oh, yes. Especially when I'm watching on my Blu-ray release of the movie. And yes, the other day, and I'm just like, this is amazing. And then, of course, the music kicks in, and they go into the trench, and then Darth Vader comes in, starts killing all the X-Wing and Y-Wing pilots, and then he's about to shoot Luke, and then Han Solo blasts Darth Vader's ship, and then he's like, "Yahoo! You're all clear, kid, now let's blow this thing and go home." Then Luke shoots the torpedo into the exhaust port, and the Death Star explodes, and the music climaxes. It's just so amazing. I love this movie so much. Then, of course, I can't forget about the throne room sequence at the end, and John Williams' music excels again. Speaking of John Williams' music, and this song in particular, I was humming this today during my class. That is how much I love the music to this movie. My classes in school. Anyway, so, and then the film ends, and no one talks, and I just love it. It's an amazing ending. And, guys, with that, Star Wars is an amazing movie. It has stood the test of time for over however many years now. I think it's like over 30, maybe even 40 now. And it's just such an amazing movie. All the characters are great. All the special effects look amazing. And when you take into consideration all the things that went wrong during filming of this movie, that is just a testament to how great this movie is. And with that, guys, I have to say that I cannot say that Star Wars is anything less than pure amazingness. Guys, I can't recommend you watch Star Wars enough. If you have not watched it, go watch it right now. You are doing yourself a disservice to not do so. And anyway, with that, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching my review of the original Star Wars. And what did you think of it? Did you like the original Star Wars? Comment below and tell me if you did. And if you haven't seen Star Wars, then I don't know, comment something, I guess. So comment on my review, I guess. I just watch Star Wars. Just do it. Come on. Anyway, I just want to thank you all again for watching my review. And if you like this video, as always, don't forget to like it. And sorry. And subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, remember, the Force will be with you always.